Imagine the most perfect silence you ever experienced. Now imagine a sound that ignores that silence. A low, rhythmic thrumming. It's not in your ears, it's in your skull. It feels like a truck is idling in your driveway, but when you look outside, the street is empty. You go into your basement thinking it's a furnace, but the furnace is off. You put on the earplugs, the sound gets louder. This is the hum. For 19% of the world it doesn't exist, but for the remaining 2% it's a physical invasion. It's a sonic void, a frequency that defies recording, ignores walls, and has driven thousands of people to the brink of insanity. In the early 1990s, the residents of Taos, New Mexico, began to break. They weren't conspiracy theorists or fringe lunatics. They were teachers, mechanics, and grandmothers. They all shared the same symptom, a persistent low-frequency vibration that made their teeth ache and their sleep impossible. It became so pervasive that it triggered a congressional investigation. But when the scientists arrived with the world's most sensitive microphones, they found something terrifying. The microphones heard nothing. The air was perfectly still. The void wasn't in the room, it was inside the people. Human beings are evolved to trust their senses. When you see a wall, you know that it's there. When you hear a bird, you know it's there. But when you hear a massive industrial engine and your eyes tell you the world is silent, your brain begins to fracture. It creates a state of hypervigilance. The hearers stop being able to distinguish between internal thoughts and the external world. The hum becomes the only thing that is real. Make no mistake, this is not a local problem specific to New Mexico. From the Bristol Hum in England in the 70s to the Windsor Hum in the Ontario in 2011, this frequency has no borders. In Windsor, the vibration was so intense it was reportedly shaking pictures of walls and causing fish to die in the local ponds. It wasn't just a sound, it was a kinetic force, a ghost machine that seemed to be terraforming the local environment. In 1993, the University of New Mexico sent a team to Taos. They set up seismic sensors, acoustic arrays, and electromagnetic shields. They were determined to find the plug and pull it. They tested the power lines, the gas pipes, and even the local secret military bases. What they found was a biological glitch. They discovered that the hum wasn't a single sound, but a collection of different frequencies that hearers were uniquely tuned into. They began to wonder, is it possible that the human ear isn't just a receiver, but a radio that can accidentally tune into the wrong station? Every human ear actually produces its own sound, a spontaneous autoacoustic emission. Usually it's too quiet to hear, but scientists theorize that in hearers, this internal feedback loop gets stuck. Their ears start screaming into their own brains. It's a biological Larsen Effect. Like a microphone being held too close to the speaker, the void is a sound that body is making to fill a silence it can't handle. Infrasound frequencies below 20 Hz cannot be heard by the ear, but they can be felt by the organs. At 19 Hz, the human eyeball begins to vibrate, causing ghostly peripheral visions. The hum often sits right on this border. It's a frequency that doesn't just enter your ears, it enters your chest. It triggers a primal flight or fight response that never turns off. The hearers are living in a permanent state of biological terror. If the hum isn't inside our heads, then it has to be in our walls. As our world became electrified, we didn't just bring light into our homes, we brought a permanent 16 Hz pulse. Every transformer, every refrigerator, every cell tower is singing. For most of us this is a background noise, but for a hearer, the modern world is a screaming metallic chore that never takes a breath. In the Windsor Hum investigation, the researchers finally pointed a finger at a specific void. Zug Island, a heavily industrialized restricted area on a Detroit river. The vibration there was so massive it was traveling through the bedrock, turning the earth itself into a speaker. But even when the factories shut down, the hum, it didn't always stop. During the Cold War, the US Navy built Project Sanguine, a massive antenna system buried in the ground of Wisconsin. Its purpose to send signals to nuclear submarines hidden hundreds of feet beneath the ocean. Now, to reach that deep, you need a frequency so low it can pass through solid rock and salt water. It operates at 76 Hz, almost exact frequency of the hum. We have spent decades pumping the voice of God into the crust of the earth. Is it any wonder some of us have started to hear the conversation? And also before GPS there was LORAN. It used massive pulses of radio energy to help ships find their way. These pulses didn't just travel through the air, they bounced off of the ionosphere and vibrated through the ground. Even though LORAN is mostly dead now, the vibrational memory of our electronic history remains. Our atmosphere is a soup of frequencies, a static void that our ancestors never had to endure. We are the first generation of humans to live in a world that never vibrates at zero. The Earth has its own heartbeat, the Schumann resonance. It's a frequency created by lightning strikes bouncing between the ground and the edge of space. It's naturally around 7.83 Hz. But as we built our cities, we created harmonics. We've layered our artificial 60 Hz hum on top of the Earth's natural 7 Hz hum. We've created a dissonant void. It's like two piano notes that don't quite match, creating a beating sound that grinds against the human nervous system. For most of us, silence is a luxury. For a hearer, it's a ghost, it's a myth. But the late 1990s, the Taos hum wasn't just a curiosity, it was a medical crisis. People were moving out of their homes, leaving behind their lives because their bedrooms had become torture chambers. There are reports of people who, in a state of sleep-deprived delirium, began tearing their walls apart with hammers, convinced that the secret device was hidden in the insulation. They weren't looking for a spy, they were looking for a zero that no longer exists on Earth. Now, some seekers of silence go to anechoic chambers, the quietest places on the planet, but here the void plays its cruelest trick. In total silence, the human brain begins to hallucinate sound. You hear your own blood rushing through your veins. You hear your nervous system crackling. For a hearer, the chamber doesn't stop the hum. It strips away the world until the hum is the only thing left in the universe. Every object has a resonant frequency, but that doesn't mean there is a brownout. A point where it begins to vibrate in a sympathy with a sound. For the human chest cavity, it's around 7 Hz. For the eyeball, it's 19 Hz. The hum often sits at the resonance of the human soul, the frequency that triggers a deep evolutionary guttural dread. It's the sound of a predator we can't see. It's the biological void responding to the industrial void. We aren't just hearing it, we are becoming it. Now I should mention that there was one time where we found it, where we located the hum. In 2011, researchers in Canada used a hectom microphone array to finally pin a source. They found it. It was a blast furnace on Zug Island. A slag quenching process was creating a massive low-frequency pulse. When the furnace was deactivated, the hum in Windsor died. It was the proof that the void had a name. But for the people of Taos or Bristol or Auckland, their furnaces are still running. Their Zug Islands are invisible, for the investigation never ends. Maybe the hum is just the sound of our species' progress. We have paved the earth with concrete and the sky with satellites. We have created a planet that can no longer be still. The hum is a static of the 21st century. A white noise void that reminds us that we are never truly alone, even in the dark. We have traded the silence of nature for the vibration of the machine. So, tonight, when you turn off the lights and put your head on the pillow, listen. Is that the wind? Is that a truck in the distance? Or have you finally tuned into the frequency of the abyss?